Oda absolutely killed it this chapter. We got Awakened Lucci, something I am so ecstatic about you cannot believe. We got some insights onto what devil fruits might actually be, and oh my god, we might have just found out what the Will of D is this chapter, and needless to say, it's a huge one, so let's get right into it. I decided to make a sub goal, 10,000 subs and I get a One Piece tattoo. If you're interested, subscribe, let's get into this. Now this is something I've been waiting for weeks now. This has been a huge agenda on my channel and it's actually happening. So to all the people who thought Lucci was going to get fodderized, you look stupid now. It sounds insane to say, but even with this absolutely fire design, this isn't the thing I'm most excited to talk about, but we will get back to this design in just a few minutes. Now let's get into the real craziness of the chapter, devil fruits being the dreams and desires of people who wanted different lives. Now while this is all hypothetical Vegapunk theorization, I definitely think this is a serious possibility of being true. Vegapunk has been talking about devil fruits for years now, so he clearly has some more insight than anyone else in the world about what these things actually are. Maybe besides the Ohara knowledge that's on Elbaf right now. Although we don't know anything about how devil fruits were created, this severely changes the game when it comes to thinking about why they were created. Sure, we don't know if they were from a tree or from some kind of ancient factory in the ancient kingdom, but we do know that devil fruits have some intended purpose, which is to enlighten the life of others, which goes against what the world government in the past might have wanted, which might be the Lunarians trying to suppress people like the humans from being able to attain some powers. I say Lunarians in specific because they were viewed as the gods of the former world, so it's fitting that devil fruits, especially the Nika fruit, is attributed with gods. Vegapunk even ponders if gods are even real in this world, and if devil fruits are even related to gods. It really adds a lot of stuff into question. Was Nika a god in the first place, or was he just a normal, strong person? A lot to think about. But we do know one thing for sure, and that's when Zoans and humans collide with one another, if their wills aren't overpowered by the Zoans, they will have a true awakening. I personally believe that Zoan Awakenings happen when the dreams of the animal that the Zoan is attributed to and the user coincide with one another. Luffy was able to awaken because he wants to be the freest man in the world. Very similar to how Nika has the ability to be the freest thing in the entire universe from what we know. Lucci only wants to kill people, and that's his entire goal in life, to get his bloodlust out and basically just be a murderer. Having a predatory Zoan animal makes a lot of sense, since their goals would coincide. He was able to awaken. And you could even say this with Yamato. Their devil fruit had a ring similar to Luffy and Lucci's. So it's highly possible that they were awakened, and it makes a lot of sense since Yamato was trying to be the protector of Wano versus Kaido, and Yamato's fruit is the protector deity of Wano. Since I'm bringing up Kaido, I want to talk about why I think he didn't awaken. In many Eastern mythologies, the dragons that Kaido is modeled after is actually a peaceful deity, but Kaido's real goal is to start the greatest war in the world and find Joy Boy. Now, because of this disparity between Kaido's goals and the fruit's goals, I think he wasn't able to awaken. And I know many people might say that his drunken form was a form of awakening, but I personally don't think so. Now I can already hear people saying that Kaido should have awakened because he's one of the Yonko, one of the 4 strongest people in the entire world. It's ridiculous that he didn't awaken. Now the idea of a curse and a user in an anime having to work together is not at all original to One Piece, so I can definitely see this being the case for Kaido, and for this being a detriment to Kaido. I think it would be very interesting for Kaido, one of the most war-hungry villains in the entire series, to be stuck with a fruit that's a very peace-loving individual. I think it's very interesting, to be honest, and a good duality, because Kaido doesn't actually want war for the sake of war. He wants war for the sake of peace. However, it's very possible that Kaido could have awakened and become one of these monster things like an Impel Down because his will didn't align with the fruit's will. And personally, I'm really interested to see if that happens. Maybe even in Elbaf, when Big Mom returns to the story, she's using Kaido as a dragon, which was a huge fan theory that was happening when they both teamed up on Wano. Not only is this great for Kaido to be written out of the story, but it's a really tragic way for him to go, because his entire method of thinking was having a great death, but now he won't even be able to experience his own death because he doesn't even know anything that's going on because he's being possessed by his awakened devil fruit form. This also brings into question the possibility of other characters that have awakened, Doflamingo, Law, Kid, Katakuri, but I'm not really sure how I feel about that just yet. But with all of that out of the way, now that we know that devil fruits and dreams are inherently tied together, there's one last thing I need to bring up. I think in this chapter we might have just discovered what the will of D is. And with that, I mean the will of D isn't just the will of Dawn, it's not the will of devil fruits, it's not the will of a smile. I think it's the will of the dreamers. But let me give you the full reasoning as to why. I think this is really heading to the will of D being confirmed as the will of dreamers. Dreams create fruits, and even Roger said, as long as people seek freedom, dreams will continue to exist. Nah, you are spitting. So Teach is the only D to not smile in the face of death, because he's the only one who cannot sleep and dream. Okay, this might sound really morbid, right? Technically, death is like an eternal dream. Toon Forest is a representation of what you could do in a dream. Total freedom, the warrior of dreams. Did we solve the will of D, guys? Did we solve the will of D live? Because the people can dream of the dawn. The dreamers are the people who made the devil fruits. That's why I really like the idea of the will of D being like two sides. You know, because there's Rox's dream, which is inherited by Blackbeard. But there's Roger's dream, which is inherited by Luffy. The dreamers, the dreams making the devil fruits, the wills of not just Zoans, but all devil fruits, could be from the dreamers who made the fruits come to existence. Now, I know it might seem like there's a lot backing this already, but I'm actually going to give you even more information as to why I think the will of D is the will of dreamers. If devil fruits were made by people who wanted to have their dreams achieved and be something different, and they were the ones who went against the world itself, how fitting would it be for all these characters with the will of D to be going against the world itself? Rox D. Zebek wants to take over the world. Monkey D. Luffy wants to be the pirate king, the freest man in the world. Gold D. Roger wants to find the history and truths of the world. Marshall D. Teach wants to make the world his own. Now, what makes this really fascinating to me is the fact that Blackbeard has one of the most iconic lines in One Piece behind him. Did Blackbeard only want the dark fruit because it had the ability to take away other devil fruit powers, in essence, other devil fruit dreams, and give them to himself, sort of as a way of experiencing dreams for himself, but not actually experiencing what a real dream is? And this would explain the differences between Luffy and Blackbeard. Luffy can dream while Blackbeard can't. And what makes this so perfect in my opinion is the fact that we knew that people like Blackbeard who lived on Winter Islands aren't able to dream before Blackbeard was ever fully introduced into the story on Jaya. We learned this in Drum Island, which I think is going to be integral not just to the story in the future later on, but to the story as a whole, with Drum Island being important since Luffy is the drums of liberation. Perhaps there's more to look at in that arc in particular than other ones going forward. Jaguar D. Saul has some serious potential coming up, and I think when we meet Saul, he's going to be telling us, the readers, about what the will of D actually is. And I personally wouldn't be shocked if it is actually the will of the dreamers. Hidden in the middle of the hype that is the awakening fight with Luffy and Lucci, we've gotten some serious insights into what the world of One Piece could have for us to hold, and solving one of the biggest mysteries in the entire series. I think that Egghead might actually be the start of this grand final war that's happening right now. We got a Yonko crew, Cypher Pole Zero, an admiral, and a Revolutionary Army head coming right to this island right now, and all the forces seem to be fighting against each other. The hype for me is so real, and seeing that Egghead could be the start of the end, it has me so insanely excited, like you have no idea. But more than anything in this video, I want to give a huge shout out to Brandon King. He was in my chat during the chapter stream, and he brought up the idea of the Will of Dreamers, which caused this huge rabbit hole. So huge thanks to Brandon King for getting this idea rolling, and really making me convinced that this could possibly be what the Will of D is. I'm so curious, what was your favorite moment of the chapter? We had Lucci Awakening versus Gear 5th, super hype. We got Devil Fruit reveals, just so much greatness. So I'd love to know what you think about this chapter. Personally, one of my favorites of the entire year. We got one chapter left this year, and it's going to be a holiday chapter for everyone, so can't wait to talk once more about the One Piece greatness during the holiday season. And with that, hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good one.